This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hi, welcome to It's A Doggy Dog World. I'm your host, Liz Palika, and with me today, as always, are my friends Petra
Hello.
and Kate Abbott.
Do.
And today we're going to talk about living with a dog with a chronic illness because, well, one of Petra's dogs was just diagnosed with a chronic illness, and it takes some changes. You go from having a healthy dog that you feed and groom and play with, and all is normal, and then all of a sudden the dog needs tests, he needs medications, and it changes your life with your pet. And then, of course,
those medications need a schedule.
Yes, a schedule.
Yeah.
And then there's the financial implications too. And we've all had dogs with chronic illnesses, but let's talk about Tango because he's the one that caused this discussion.
Yeah, he did. So he is just over 2 years old, and one day he just kind of started just not himself. And I remember I brought him here to the yard, and I remember saying, he's just not himself, and everyone's like, Tango's not himself. And he wasn't. He started eating a little bit, and then the next day he wasn't eating anything.
And the other dogs would be playing, and he'd go off to the side and lay down, which is totally not him.
No, not him at all. So that was on a Saturday. Friday it started. Saturday we were noticing. Sunday, that's when I had called Liz. I said, I got to take him to the ER. Come with me, because I just need support. And the emergency vet thought he had gastroenteritis. And, now you look back, the symptoms are so similar.
And, and we can understand it. I was a little upset at him that he didn't do more investigation into it. But, the old saying, if you hear hoofbeats, you think of horses, not zebras.
Yeah.
And so he had taken x-rays of Tango's abdomen.
He did.
And it looked like he had some gas and he had some stool, and he said he's got a bellyache.
Yeah. So I remember we gave him hydration, and he had those little saddlebags of those fluids in his sides there. And then the next day, I already had a scheduled appointment with the vet anyway. So when I brought her there, I told her what happened. She got the information from the emergency vet. But again, we love our vet.
Yes.
She then's like, no changes today. And I said, no, not really. Ate a little bit better, but probably because he had
they
fluids.
Tend to feel a little better after fluids.
Yeah, but luckily she dug a little deeper, did more tests, and had a very strong suspicion that it was Addison's. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? He's not a standard poodle, because it's very common in standard poodles.
Yeah. And now doodles.
Yeah, so I said, well, what? And then I said, well, he's not a poodle, and it's common there. She goes, oh, but interesting enough, we see it now more in doodles. And then Liz and I are like, oh, really? Oh, wow, okay.
Because we see a lot of doodles in our training classes.
And we learned that on our little visit.
Yes.
Yeah, so when she did some test blood work and then sent out the test that confirms Addison's, and it did come back as positive. So luckily I had brought him back the next day to leave him there, and he got that DOCP shot for Addison's and additional hydration, but it had more sodium because he was low on sodium. And I went to pick him up that evening, and it was like, oh my God, my Tango's back. It was incredible. Just a day there, and
well, explain what Addison's is for people who don't know what it is.
So Addison's is a hormonal disorder that's caused by deficient production of adrenal gland hormones, cortisol and aldosterone.
Yeah, go for it. Now the adrenal glands are by the kidneys.
Yes. Yeah, located next to the dog's kidneys. And the glands help regulate bodily functions and are responsible for production of the cortisol. And the cortisol is the steroid that helps your dog combat stress.
Now, stress doesn't necessarily mean something bad is happening to him. We face stress all the time. And stress can be good stress, bad stress. He could have stress playing.
Right.
So it's not all bad stuff, but it's just regular stress of life.
Right. And then they're saying that the aldosterone, I'm so bad with that, helps regulate the water and electrolytes in their body.
Right.
So the fact that the adrenal glands is not producing these two hormones, yeah.
Those are necessary for life. So untreated Addison's can be fatal.
Yes. But now they have this monthly, the DOCP, and that's a mouthful.
Don't even try.
I'll probably butcher it. It won't be sounding very pretty. But, and what's interesting, we're still trying to figure out where it is, because it's basically every 28 to 30 days, a monthly shot. And right now, while we're trying to get him on a good schedule and figure out all this, I bring him to the vet for the shot. But it is something that with the prescription you can get in. Eventually, I'll be able to do it on my own.
And this last month, he almost had a crisis because you're still figuring out how many days between shots.
So come to find with the holidays, because he had his shot was just before Thanksgiving, because you and I went on vacation with the dogs. So he has that DOCP shot before Thanksgiving. I miscounted, so I scheduled his appointment. He was at 31 days. Come to find out, the vet said the DOCP shot is really good at 30 days. And then by 30, you have to have it before 30 days, because basically it runs out.
It's amazing that
like
it
days.
Runs out in the body so definitively.
Yes.
It's like, all of a sudden, it's gone.
And it was because all of a sudden he wasn't eating as much. You could tell right away, and that's when the vet had said, well, calculating last shot to now, he goes, it's 31 days. Like, oh, crud. So he says with Tango, let's keep it at 26 to 28 days. 28, no longer than 28 days, so that he still has in a system, so when he gets the next one. So he keeps it level, he doesn't crash. Yeah. So that's what we're doing now. And, it took probably, after he got the shot this last time, it took about 3 days. 3 days. Then
for him
he was
to get
all
back to
normal, eating regularly. And, during those 3 days, I had a lot of encouraging, trying to add chicken and trying to get him to eat that way, which he did, but it was taking the extra steps and, try to get him to eat. And then after that, now he's back eating normally.
How long has this injection been around?
It
used to be a daily oral medication to treat Addison?
Prednisone.
Yeah, and he is on prednisone.
Yeah, in addition, but they gave a bigger dose of prednisone, which of course has its own side effects.
Yeah.
Luckily, Tango's on such a small dose of prednisone that he's, other than urinating a lot, he
just drinks a lot of water and urinates a lot.
But he's not having any of the other symptoms.
Not ravenous. Huh? He's not ravenous?
No, because it's a light dose, so he's nothing more than he was before all this was diagnosed.
His dose is much less than Hero was on after his eye surgery.
Oh, okay.
Hero was having the side effects from that. But Tango's on a very low dose. But before the DOCP injection, I believe it was just, now this is coming out of my memory, but I believe it was just the prednisone.
That's what I seem to remember with Molly.
Yeah.
So right now, last few times they do the in-house electrolytes, just test to make sure everything's good. And it is. Everything's staying nice and steady where it should be. So
and basically they're looking at the sodium and the potassium.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So sodium was initially low and potassium was extremely high when all this started. Yeah. So now, we keep him on schedule, and thank goodness Liz is here to help me out. She can just
run him down to the vet.
Gets the shot, come home, that type of thing. So, but it's and also thank goodness for my dog insurance.
Yeah, if you don't have pet health insurance, it's a good idea.
Would I ever thought if I had to use it? Nope, but I'm sure glad I did, because first, started that ER visit, and then after that, the day at the vets and doing all sorts of tests to figure out exactly what all this is.
Well, and this is going to be going on for his lifetime.
Yep.
But thankfully, he can live a full life.
Yes, they can live a very, very normal
Well,
life.
and our friend with the standard poodle, Molly lived to be 13 or 14 with Addison's. Yep. Oh, and it shows up in young dogs. This is not an old age issue.
No, Tango is just over two and 4 months. So
and I think they said the diagnosis happens between 2 and 5 years of age.
Yeah. Yep.
It's very young.
Yes, it's very young.
And of course, like we've mentioned in previous podcasts, when we see something unusual, I too went back to Liz and I have the same breeder friend, and let her know.
Yeah.
But she hadn't heard of it. Any of the English Shepherds.
No, and like so many things, they don't believe it has a genetic predisposition, but they also don't know. I mean, we asked our vet, and she just said, "We don't know. We don't know why it happens. It just happens."
Especially in an unknown breed.
Yeah, there are some breeds that are more prone to it.
They did say, of course, standard poodles, and what was this?
Bearded collies, and there were several.
Yeah, there's actually several. It's very
that they were more prone to it.
Yeah, but of course now standard poodles, like we mentioned, now they're seen in the doodles, labradoodles, golden doodles, anything that's crossed with a standard poodle.
With a poodle.
They're seeing it now.
And rarely, it's not impossible, but rarely are the crosses with the cream of the crop poodles.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a little change in our lifestyle, but it's something that he can live happily, and he's active. Everything, he's back to normal.
Well, if you've got a chronic, every 4-week injection and a daily small pill is not bad.
No, it's not.
And especially once she can do the injection at home, that'll make it a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
I took care of a friend's cat one time when they went on vacation, and the cat was diabetic.
Oh, yeah.
Fortunately, fairly stable. So, once a day injection, the cat was fine. Once they figured out the dosage.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That was an interesting roller coaster of a couple of months. But
testing blood sugar in a cat. Dogs are a lot more cooperative.
Yeah.
And then, there's not something like, one day we'll have a big party and run around a lot, because that would have changed all the...
Yeah.
So it's just keeping that cat's life as mellow and on an even kill as possible.
Yeah.
So all the dosages stayed the same.
Yeah. The breeds that are more prone to Addison's disease include standard poodles, West Highland White Terriers, Great Danes, bearded collies. I thought that one stuck in my head. Portuguese water dogs, Nova Scotia duck-tolling retrievers, and soft-coated Wheaten Terriers. But the caveat is it can affect any breed of dog, as well as mixed breed dogs, regardless of the age or gender, but it's most common in young female dogs.
Yeah, so which again, there's another anomaly. He's just over 2 and he's a male.
That's quite a range of dogs.
Yes, of breeds. Well, and they say mixed breeds also, like the doodles. But, yep.
So of course, now once that, I think everything's looking stabilizing, everything's going good, then, he's still intact, and that's one thing. Also, they suggest if your dog is diagnosed with Addison's, get him spayed and neutered.
Because it's all about the hormones. Yep.
But like our vet said, let's just get him under
stable
control.
first.
Let's see what his dosages are, and then everything's stable. Then let's neuter him.
Yeah.
So so right now.
Chronic. I was, of course, I'm on a Facebook group for people with dogs that are blind or going blind.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of them have glaucoma.
Right.
And daily medication. I mean, Walter's going to be on 3 drops twice a day for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
So that's a chronic. It's not a disease.
It's
a condition.
Still, condition,
Kona was blind for 10 years of his 13 years. Yeah, you just adapt your lifestyle. You adapt, he adapts.
I'm still amazed when Walter goes out into the big field and then trots or runs.
Right? I know. Yeah.
I want that white cane out there. Tap, 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 tap.
Yeah.
Well, let's also talk about, though, both Kona and Walter, when they were first losing their vision, how many times they ran into things.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, they both hurt themselves.
I mean, Kona figured out his
echolocation
system that he had.
Kona was good at it.
Yeah, he figured that out, which is...
It took us longer to figure out what he was doing.
Right.
Because he had
be quiet, what are you doing?
But then you'd see him dodge something, and you go, Whoa.
Yeah. This way to maneuver around places. Yeah, it was interesting.
And he lost vision in both eyes, so Walter
Yeah.
has some in one eye. And I guess that's what mostly he uses. Mm-hmm. He can still see some motion and things. Yeah.
All right, let's take a break from our podcast to talk about our new sponsor, Pets Are Kids 2, and that's TOO, Pets Are Kids 2, has a line of natural pet products ranging from shampoos and ear cleaners and potions for itching, and also a pet dental spray. Now, the dental spray is not to remove already existing tartar or anything like that, but it can help keep the teeth clean when you start with it on a regular basis. The primary ingredient is baking soda, which, you know, if you brush your dog's teeth, you may brush them with baking soda. A lot of people make a baking soda paste and do that. Some people use toothpastes that are based on baking soda. This spray, you spray on the teeth or the gum line, and it can help prevent dental problems from forming. Or if your dog's had a dental at the veterinarian, you can use this to help keep the teeth and gums in good shape afterwards.
And dental health is such a big part of a dog's overall health.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And, yeah, over the years I've seen some horrible teeth.
Horrible. If the gums get infected, the teeth get nasty and cause more, I mean, it
goes right to the heart.
It goes straight to the heart.
Heart problems.
Yeah. So keeping the teeth clean is important. This company, Pets Are Kids 2, also has a philanthropic bend, which we're enthused about. Boy, that was a big word. Their goal is to help 100 pets survive cancer in 2019. And that's a pretty big goal because cancer treatments can be very expensive.
And rather than, say, giving to another foundation or research or whatever, they're going directly to the dogs and the dog's owners that need support.
Right.
When the dog has the cancer.
Right. Which is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
And then you get to know who you're supporting.
Right. On the label of each product, there's a big red rectangle that says, wait, in big letters. Send a picture of your pet with this bottle to charity@petsarekids2.com, and they'll send you a photograph of the pet that your donation is helping to support, which gives you a personal touch to it, that you are helping this pet.
I'm not putting down research and all the above, but this is just more immediate and personal.
Right, right.
Definitely.
Research is always needed, but this is a one-on-one.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can go up on their website, Pets Are Kids 2, and check out their products, including the premium dental spray.
And if you're on social media, they have a Facebook page.
Yes, they do. They have a Facebook page also. If you decide to purchase one of their products, enter the code PET15, PET15, and you'll get a 15% off your order. And for all their products, they've got a lifetime money-back guarantee. So take a look at it. We're enthused about them.
Sit. Stay. It's A Doggy Dog World. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
DGP is an all-natural formula proven to help aging pets with joint and mobility problems. It goes to work quickly, providing vital nutrients to the joints while reversing the effects of age. Some people see results in as little as 7 days. Don't let your dog struggle another day. Call 800-521-0543 or visit dgpforpets.com and enter the code DOGGY, that's DOGGY, for 25% off your first order and free shipping.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynovite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynovite.
Dynovite for life.
Pick up 2 tubes of Dogosuds.
Get the 3rd tube free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Dogosud shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe. Great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Dogosuds. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com. We know you're begging for more. So back to It's a Doggy Dog World with your fetching hosts, Liz Palika, and this week's co-hosts, Kate Abbott and Petra Burke.
Welcome back to It's a Doggy Dog World. I'm Liz. With me today are Petra and Kate. Well, one chronic illness that one of my dogs, I had two with hip dysplasia. The German Shepherd was able to have surgery on his hips when he was about 8 months old. And that served him well. He ended up dying of liver disease, but it was due to old age and liver failure. He didn't lose his life because of his hips, which we had totally expected. I mean, a 100-pound dog, if his back end gave out, there was not going to be a whole lot we could do about it. But bless that dog's heart, Michi, he got his advanced AKC obedience titles, jumping full heights with those bad hips, and we never forced him. We gave him the choice. If he didn't want to jump, he didn't have to jump. But we called him our front-wheel drive because he had these big, massive shoulders and chest and atrophied back end. But he did pretty well. And then Riker, Australian Shepherd, sweetest, kindest, gentlest dog on the face of the planet, but the most stubborn dog. His hips were so bad when he was diagnosed that our veterinarian said, if I'd have seen these x-rays and not seen the dog walk in, I'd say this dog couldn't walk. And yet he kept on walking. He kept on going.
I think the best thing is those, because Kona and him were brothers.
Yeah.
When they would pull a wagon together.
We had them hooked up as a team. Kona was blind, and so
Riker had to lead.
Riker led because he could see. And Riker's hips were bad, but Kona's were awesome. So we had the seeing dog leading the blind dog, and the dog with good hips taking up the slack for the dog with bad hips. We went to the Australian Shepherd National Specialty a couple times, but one time with them, and one of my books had just been released, and so we had a vendor's booth. So we had rented an RV, and we would load up the wagon with the stuff for the vendor's booth, hook both dogs up.
Which means, by the way, boxes of books.
Boxes of books. I mean, heavy load.
Heavy.
And then go across the fairgrounds, because, of course, the RV parking lot was always on the other side of the fairgrounds from the vendor's area, with the two boys pulling these wagons. And we made 2 or 3 trips every morning and evening to set up the vendor's booth. And people were taking pictures. We couldn't make a trip without people pulling out their cameras or camera phones.
Yep.
And when we got back, I remember, I think it was me, contacted the breeder and said, I'm going to email you some photos of Kona and Riker. And she says, I've already got a couple dozen of them.
Yep.
People are sending me photos of the two boys. And they were brothers from 2 different litters, but because they both did come down with serious health problems, their breeder, as soon as she was notified, promptly spayed the female. She said, oh no, we're not going to...
those 2 litters.
Those 2 litters, and she had her spayed, even though the mom was a lovely dog herself. The breeder was being responsible. But the other thing with Riker was his hips were so bad. I got him one of the doggy wheelchair carts.
How did that work out for you?
Yeah. Well, you know how your parents say, I hope you have a child just like you?
Yeah.
He was a stubborn boy.
Now, this is the same dog that would pull a wagon.
He would pull a loaded wagon with joy. And in fact, as he got older, when he was like 10 or 11, when did our friend pass away and he pulled the cart with her urn?
Oh, they're urning it.
He was an older boy.
There. Yeah.
He was 10, 11, maybe. But a friend of ours passed away, and she specifically requested that her memorial be held here at the Kindred Spirits Dog Training Yard, because that's where all her friends were. And she asked that Riker pull the cart with her urn from the back up to the front where the speakers were going to be. He was so proud of himself. He knew it was special. He was so proud of himself. And he pulled that up there. But doggy wheelchair, not on your life. I don't care how many treats we had. I tried steak and chicken. He would prefer to throw himself over backwards than use that doggy wheelchair. I paid a small fortune for that thing. Finally donated it to somebody because he wasn't about to do it. He wasn't about to use that thing. But in living with it, I tried to protect him from himself, tried to keep him from jumping too much.
Pain pills.
Kept him, he was on pain pills, lots of supplements, glucosamine, chondroitin, and MSM, and all kinds of other things. They weren't going to cure anything, but just try to keep him more comfortable. And his hips didn't cause his passing. He came down with laryngeal paralysis when he was too old for surgery. So he lived a full life with those horrible hips, better than many other dogs have been able to do.
He was out here running around.
Yeah.
It was a funny jackrabbit run, but he
ran.
Yeah.
Nothing was going to stop him.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be nice to go into old age with that attitude.
Yeah.
I think the big thing with living with a dog with a chronic disability or chronic illness is, one, have a good conversation with your vet. I've always considered...
Your vet or your best friend, and get over the shock. That's what I remember. My dog has Addison's? What?
Yeah.
Okay, what is that? What,
you know. And that's why I'm drug around to go with her, because then I can ask the questions. And our vet's used to me asking the questions. She gets kind of a funny look on her face and goes, "All right, Liz, go ahead." But the other thing that's wonderful about our veterinarian is she's not at all hesitant to get on the phone and talk to an expert, go back to her office, bring out the big book and look something up, like she did with the Addison. She drug that book had to have been 4 inches thick. Drug it into the exam room, flipped pages, and went, okay, blah, 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 blah.
Of course, you also want to be ready for Liz to ask any additional questions.
Yes, well, that too. That too.
Yeah.
That too. But I've always considered my vets my partners in my dog's health. You have to be able to ask them questions, and they need to be able to answer. Even if they say, you know what, I need to check on that, I'll call you back later. But
and she's absolutely awesome for all that. But I think also what just made her even, I hold her up on a high pedestal now. She called the day after we lost our Palm to cancer. She personally called. The file was on her desk. She had seen, and she knew that was going to be, unfortunately, the end result. But she had personally called.
Yeah.
And
she did the same thing when I lost Bashir to cancer, when it was so unexpected. Walked into the exam room planning on changing his treatment for his arthritis, and he didn't leave. She called the next day, and she expressed her sorrow, saying, that, and this was just as hard on her as it was on me, because she wasn't expecting that either. Right. We'd been treating his arthritis for a couple of years, and
every time I take one of the dogs in to see her, I remind her that she's not allowed to retire.
Oh, God.
Until after I'm gone.
Yeah. Right,
no.
Exactly. She can't retire.
No.
Nope.
Not allowed at all.
You're 8 years old. You're still going to be practicing.
The other thing with chronic illness, is you're probably going to have to make some adjustments to your schedule. Most chronic disabilities or illnesses require some medication of some kind, and setting up a schedule. Tango's with the Addisons, he's got to be on a schedule.
Yeah, he has to.
It can't waver. No. Some medications are a little more flexible. When Hero had his eye surgery, it was timed, and he had to have those medications at specific times. Walter, after his eye surgery, the same thing.
And in this day of the interweb and social media, don't discount all those groups. I've been really impressed with the blind dog group on Facebook. I don't post very often, but I will skim over, and even if it's not helpful for Walter, it might be for a client of ours.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of sharing and good information and bolstering each other, and when one of the dogs needs to be put down, then there's a group you can go to and say, I've lost mine.
Oh, Pet Loss and Bereavement group on Facebook is wonderful.
But even the blind dog group,
Oh, okay.
they'll post there. You know,
Okay.
We won't be around for a while
Yeah.
because we've lost our dog. Yeah. And you don't get, oh, it's just a dog.
Oh, right.
You don't get that
right.
response.
Right.
These people know what you've
Yeah.
been through.
Our friend
Right.
Sue, who has a deaf dog, does the same thing. She's on the one or more deaf dog groups. And so now when we have a deaf dog come into class, we send Sue out to talk to him because although we've all had a dog who's lost hearing to a certain extent when they get older, her baby was born with no hearing.
Yeah.
Her puppy.
So you don't have to be in this thing alone. I mean, all the information from the vets, but then there's just day-to-day tips that people that have already been living with their dogs that have these conditions that really can make your life easier.
Yeah. True.
And
Yeah.
your dog's life easier, more importantly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
Yeah. So, and then last but certainly not the least, there's the financial implications. If you don't have pet health insurance for your dog while he's healthy, I suggest you get it.
Because you never know what'll happen.
You never know.
You really don't.
Or a dedicated credit card. One of the two. I know several people who have a credit card that's set aside with a zero balance and it's only for those kinds of emergencies. That's a good idea too. I know Hero's surgery was in the 4 figures. Tango's initial stuff was...
we got up there.
Yeah.
We did.
Walter's eye surgery wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The options are more than we used to have, but they come with a cost.
Yes. Yeah. When our veterinarian with Hero's eye problem, when she said, I'm calling the canine ophthalmologist at the specialty clinic, I know my heart jumped into my throat.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was going over my credit card balance. And you don't want to have to make that decision, you know, your dog's life versus the cost, but, you know,
It's reality.
It's reality.
Yeah.
Still cheaper than human medicine, but it's the reality. All right, well, I guess that's it for us today. I know it wasn't the cheeriest of conversations, but we'll be back again next month, and hopefully we'll have something a little more uplifting for everyone. So we'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Having a rough day? Longing for the dog days of summer? Think your fun furry friend lives a dog's life? Well, find out everything you're begging to know as Pet Life Radio presents It's a Doggy Dog World with pet expert and award-winning author Liz Palaika. Every dog has his day, and you'll find out how to make your dog's day fun and rewarding every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.